Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Living Large Las Vegas. I am your host, Coby Sherlock, and today in the lab, our co-host, Mr. Derek Parent. Derek, say hello to everybody.
Hello, hello.
Listeners, we got a really special treat for you guys today, and of course, if you're watching, you already know. Today in the house, we have an incredible entrepreneur, former Miss Nevada, as well as our Congress, hopefully future Congress representative, Miss Lisa Song-Sutton.
Hey, thank you for having me, guys.
Lisa, thanks for hanging out with us. It's really special for us to, of course, open this up and connect with you and everything that you have going on in the community, and really just spend some time picking your brain about all of the different efforts that you have, and maybe hopefully we could take some things away from what we're up to. Derek?
You know, so we did that UNLV class together, and that was the first time that we actually spoke together, and you inspired me from that first day. You know, being an entrepreneur, like just see someone that is so you connect. You walked in, you connected with all the students. Right where we're at, you jumped in, and tell us a little bit about your journey. One as Miss Former Nevada, but also the whole like entrepreneur, because you're one of those people that I admire. You do so much for the community. You have a couple of businesses going, and you're never too busy to jump on a podcast or take a phone call. So, tell us about that.
Thank you so much. Well, I don't have that traditional entrepreneur story of, the lemonade stand at age 5, right? I grew up with an overbearing Asian tiger mom, right? And so I was in, every extracurricular activity you could possibly think of, right? So tap dance and flute lessons and piano lessons and all the things. And so as a result, academics was extremely important. And then I had this overlaid time management soft skill that was embedded into me from like age 5 onward. So go to college, I go to law school, I get out, start working my big girl job, here in Vegas, working in a law firm. And end of 2011, Danielle, who's my co-founder with Sin City Cupcakes, called me. She and I met in the modeling industry like eons ago now, and just became great friends. Fast forward, I moved to Vegas, I'm working. She's still living in Florida. Hey girl, what have you been up to? And she's like, I've been making these alcohol cupcakes. And I'm like, what? I was like, it's an amazing idea. You've got to move to Vegas. You've got to move to Vegas and like start the company here, because this is the place. This is the place for alcohol cupcakes, right? People come here to overspend, overindulge, buy new things you're not going to buy and do at home. Alcohol cupcakes are going to sell in Las Vegas. She's like, I don't know. And I'm like, just move, so she does. And she moved. We started the company in 2012, and we started it with no business plan. We started it with just, excitement, sheer enthusiasm. Yeah. And the only plan I did have was that I was not going to quit my day job. I was financing the company, right? Danielle had agreed to take it on full time, right? She moved across the country and was like, I'm going to be baking, and I'm going to teach you how to bake, and, we're going to do all the things. So I kept my job for as long as I possibly could. So that way it was like a safe exit for me. Like I had my bills paid, right? I had a source of income to be able to keep feeding money into the company, because that's what you do the first year, 2, 3, right? And that was my way to break into entrepreneurship in a way that I felt comfortable with. Through that journey, I realized, I can have my own company as long as I team up with an operations partner, right? Someone who has more experience in this industry than I do, someone who is better equipped to handle the day-to-day than I am in this particular business or industry. And that's when the light bulb went off, and I was like, great, I will bring like the 4 things I'm really good at, right? And it's, the business development side, whether it's finances, whether it's bringing in new clients, there are certain things I'm very good at, and I can bring that to the business, and then let me team up with an operations partner that can handle the rest of it.
Yeah, that's funny, because you're sitting here, you're saying that, and that's exactly, what I've done. My career was I'm really good at developing business and figuring things out quickly, than having the operations part of it, honed in. Wow, you were saying that, I'm like, wow, this is something that I go through too. This is not just me. But going through that, then you opened up your second business.
Yes, exactly. So like I said, once I realized, okay, I can have a company as long as I team up with an operations partner, I started looking at where are some other opportunities that are available. So this is while I was still working at the firm. We had some clients from the law firm that had real estate needs. And we were just simply outsourcing that, right? Like referral basis, putting it out to agents that we knew. And I was like, I should just get my real estate license and team up with a full-time agent, and then we can work the deals together, because I already know these clients. They're already my clients, right? I just don't handle their real estate, but there's a chance for me to still have my hands on it, right? And so that's what I did. And so then I got into the real estate game by teaming up with a partner then. And then I replicated it over and over with Liquid and Lace with the swimwear, with e-commerce, and then obviously with Ship Las Vegas now.
We're grateful because, we get to work with you on the real estate side. And, Coby just closed his first transaction with Mariah, who's newer to your
rock
team.
star, absolute rock star. And I joked about it today, and I spoke to you a little bit about it. I was on the phone with Janet, and she said, our client was probably the most ideal client you could ever wish for. And so from there, I'm in extreme gratitude to Mariah. It's been really good.
That's awesome. Yeah, she's great. She's a new addition to the team at Elite Homes Christie's, and she's fantastic.
Yeah, so that was so speaking on that was something that we really loved to partner with you with real estate, and we had your girls here with the classes and so forth. But we admire working with you guys. Kathy was here the other day, and it's always inspiring to see what you guys are up to next, because you're always up to some amazing things. I wanted to touch on something that I love. Like, I've always wanted to run for some type of Senate or politics, something local. But you literally are doing it at a national level. Running for, what's that like?
I mean, it's a whole new ball game, right? No, it's just been incredible. But really, I mean, it's rooted in my community work, right? So as a former Miss Nevada, I did nearly 500 community appearances. I was out reading in schools, volunteering in hospitals, working with every nonprofit under the sun, right? I was everywhere. And through that, philanthropy and getting involved in the community has always been part of my lifestyle. It's something I did growing up with my parents, like through our church, right? And then, when you realize that there's a real opportunity to give back to your community in a tangible way, that for me is very fulfilling. And so the run for Congress, it just came about with these, unique set of circumstances of kind of looking around and realizing that there's an opportunity here to serve the community in a larger way, in a way that really, impacts on a day-to-day level. And, frankly, I was looking around going, someone should run, right? Someone should run for this seat. Someone should run. And I'm making phone calls. And finally, I realized, I've spent a large part of my professional career as a speaker and a writer encouraging others to stand up for something they feel strongly about, right? Not to be scared of uncomfortable situations. And I was like, I have to take my own advice. Yeah. And so now it's time.
I remember when we first met, or at least the first time I had some time to really spend time with you was at an open house over in Lake Las Vegas. Yep. And I remember thinking to myself afterwards, and this is shortly before you announced that you were running, which was when I found out you were running, it really was like a breath of fresh air knowing that you were going to attack this next, because it was no secret after having the conversations I had with you that your willpower was going to strengthen through and really be able to pull something like this off. And I still stand in that place today. I did some work in different political races in Tennessee before I came here. And something that, it obviously takes is a big drive, to get through and connect with these people. But what I've learned from these candidates is sometimes it calls for you to run. And I feel like that really happened for you. When you say that you called around, you're looking for people to run. I think then that moment opens up and you're like, maybe this is my calling. Is that true for you? Is that where you stand? Because I definitely see everything that you exemplify being the perfect candidate for who we support for sure.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think it just, it's getting back to what the title is, right? It's a public servant, right? It's the House of Representatives, right? They're supposed to be representatives for their constituents, representatives for our community. And I think once that's lost, it's so hard to gain that back, right? You need fresh perspective. You need some turnover in that. You can't have people who have been serving there 10, 20, 30 years, and yet you're getting the same result or worse, right? There has to be an opportunity for some fresh faces, for some fresh perspective. And luckily, that has been the feedback through my candidacy, right? I announced the end of July. So Q3 was my first full quarter in the race. And I came in first in fundraising, raised over $127,000 in less than 90 days. And, the majority of those donations not only came from Nevadans, they came from the district, but then they also came nationwide as well. We've had so much national exposure to the campaign. It's just because people are excited about the opportunity to bring fresh perspective, a fresh face, a fresh voice to not only government, but also to business people, right? To young people, to business people. We need leaders in government who understand what it's like to actually run a business. They're telling us how to run our business, right? So like we need some of that perspective in there of what is it actually like and what does that implementation look like?
Well, I can say you have my vote, right? But when I think of you, when I think of integrity, trust, honor, commitment, I've known you now for just a little while, but that's the first thing. The impact that you make on others is huge. And I followed you for a while. I've seen you on social media for years, and then we got a chance to do business together, hang out a little bit. But just to really, when I see you, it's just honor. I can't wait to see you in that house, you representing us, because I know you in that house, we're a much better state. We have a better representation, and we have someone that actually cares about us. A lot of people get into politics for them, but I know when you got in this, it was about us. You were serving the community. We talked a lot about this today, consumer versus partner. My perception and who you are to me is a partner. You're a partner to this town. You're a partner to us. We're a partner to the state. And I tell you, if people, they don't know you, we're going to do our very best to get you out, because we're very much committed to seeing you, in the house representing us, not representing you, but representing us. So I'm grateful.
When we asked her a little bit ago, Lisa, when we asked you about your entrepreneurial experience, I feel like you made it sound so easy, and we know it. We know it's not, and. Right. And I want to make sure I highlight that too, because it is your relentless approach in business and in relationship that's going to drive this campaign for you, and also your success when you're done with this campaign. And I think that folks should know that too, that there is a relentless approach to what you do, and how it's viewed should be with respect. I follow you on Instagram and Facebook or whatever outlets as well. And I talked to you the other day on the phone about a story that hit home for me, because I was so involved in collegiate, politics and supporting young Republicans and things like that when I was younger. So can you share that story a little bit about what happened with that young lady and how you supported her, and really just coming from a place of learning? I really enjoyed the story, and I don't want to ruin it. I'd rather hear it from you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had the opportunity for years to speak at colleges, universities, and schools as well, high schools as well. And I go in and just speak about business and entrepreneurship. And so I was doing that at UNLV. I wasn't there to campaign. I was just there to speak to a group of business students, and shared my entrepreneurial journey, some advice, some pitfalls. And I finished speaking, came off the stage, and I had a young student come up to me. She's freshman, so got to be 18, 19, young student. And she asked me, she said, I Googled you before coming in, and I saw that you're running for Congress. And I just have to ask, why are you running as a Republican? Latina student. And I was like, okay, you know what I mean? And I looked at her and I said, you're a business student, right? And she said, yes. And I said, we're the party of business owners. We're the party of entrepreneurs. We're the party of innovation. We're the party of opportunity and job creators. I said, so you're a Republican, you just don't know it yet. And I said it jokingly, right? And we both laughed. And that was the end of the interaction. But you could just see on her face that had never been explained to her before. What is a Republican, right? Being 18, 19 years old, 2020 is going to be the first election she votes in. And clearly she's come from a perspective of everything that you could possibly think is negative about the party, or maybe the certain figureheads we have that are, part of the party. And that's all you focus on, right? And at the end of the day, I think it's very important for us to not only be able to articulate and communicate what we stand for, right? But why? Why do we stand for that? And it comes down to personal experience, right? What is it in your personal experience that you've lived through, that you've had in your life, that makes you believe one thing or another? And then how do you articulate that to others? Do you tell them that they're wrong for thinking a different way, or do you just explain why it is that you think the way that you do? It's about creating that dialogue.
I think when people hear your come from, it gives them a whole nother perspective on how to consider what you're really up to. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that. And we also hit this today. I'm glad Lisa spoke into it, because we talked about, in life, having the positive and the negative experiences, and it not being right or wrong, it just being what it is, right? We talked about the car battery, and you need positive and negative to continue to go. And for you, I hope that you continue to open the eyes of others, especially in the youth, through your service and what you're up to. And I think that you will find that you'll continue to grow the type of support that you definitely get in our office from our young group. And young for Derek, I'll give you that young.
Well, a lot of times also, it's like a fixed belief, right? So if your family has, religion since you were a little kid,
Sure.
they kind of, I don't want to say pushed on you, but that's their belief and you believed in it. And that's like politics too, right? It's kind of things, religion and politics, we don't really talk much about because everyone's beliefs are different.
Sure.
And like we said, no one's right or wrong, right? It's just your belief and it's your experience too. So as kids get older, right? Like religion was different for me when I got older. And my, belief on politics got different as I get older, right? As I get into business. So, young people they'll see that I'm a little old. I'm 45, so I'm a little bit older. So I've been voting for a long time, but I've seen a lot go on in all my years. But something that from a young age, I always loved politics. I always loved like what was going on, right? But I got another question for you. Streamline off the politic thing because I know that you're gonna win. But for someone that is so, I don't want to say busy, because I know that you're extremely busy. I know that you do a lot, multiple businesses, campaigning, real estate, everything that you do. Like, what is your time? Like what is that like for you? Like, tell me, like, what I'm curious is like, how do you fit everything in?
Yeah. So I think everybody, this is true for everyone and myself included, we make time for the things that we prioritize, right? So it's not that I spend equal amount of time on every single thing, but I prioritize my tasks and I prioritize my items. So right now, the campaign, we're less than 200 days to the primary, which is on June 9th. So as you can imagine, especially in January 2020, it's going to ramp up. My time dedication to it, my bandwidth to it is going to continue to ramp up, and it'll be at a point where it's full speed ahead, right? With the businesses, it's nice because I've been able to set them up where I do have operations partners and I do have great teams and GMs and managers and staff, right, who are there to handle that day to day and make some of those crucial decisions, right? I was just home for Thanksgiving down in Arizona visiting my parents, and we had a situation up at one of our shipping stores with some currency, and our GM handled it beautifully. She called me, told me about it, and I was like, perfect, like you handled that exactly right, like way to go. And so that's what it takes, right? Is like not only having the right people in place, but you also have to empower them to make the decisions, right? They can't wait for me to answer my phone before they have to make a game time decision. They've got to be equipped to do it.
Yeah, that's so in management, that's kind of one of the things like letting go. It sounds like you let go like a lot of like wanting to have control, right? Because sometimes it's really hard to scale a business when you want to have control of everything.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Even with this campaign, right? Because I'm used to, especially in the beginning, I want eyes on everything. I want, and I can't do that, right? Otherwise I become the bottleneck, right? They can't wait for me to proofread every single thing. I have to have enough confidence in my team that they're not going to have typos, that they're not going to have some silly mistakes in there, right? But that the content is going to be right and it's going to be on message and we're going to get it out. So exactly. Like you can't micromanage. You have to surround yourself with good people and the right people and equip them to know, hey, like I trust you. I trust in your decision-making capabilities. I trust that we're all on the same team when it comes to the branding and the message and what needs to get done.
Big vision. Your vision is just huge. And then that's kind of how all this started. We started off with just, one camera and a couple of microphones and just an idea. We wanted to start doing a podcast on a regular basis, right, to grow, the real estate community, answer questions, but also to have like interviews, right? And last week we were talking, I said, I would really love to have Lisa in here because you've inspired, this whole town community. And just to have you, on our podcast with telling, people that are busy, learning that you can not have control over everything and have a great business. And I think that's where this business really works with us because we have great people surrounding us, and I think if you can think of it, you can do it, right? If you believe in yourself, you can do it. And we were talking about plan A, plan B, and you just seem like your plan A is you never have a plan B. It's just always plan A because plan A is going to work for you. I know that. So,
when I see, I always like to, say, like, obviously our representatives are absolutely a representative of the time around us. And for Vegas, couldn't have been a better time, as my experience as well. This town is coming together as a unit finally, after so many years, building and growing together, so many new companies recognizing the potential here, wanting to be a part of us, really focusing on planting the community's feet and growing from within. And what better time to have somebody that can, really exemplify what that means and take it and run with it too. I know it's been a lot, because of my experience in the past, and I'm sure you get excited about knowing what more ramped up means when you get to January.
Yeah.
But I have a fun question. What so far for you has just been, a lot of fun? Do you have an experience where you're just like, man, that was fun, and it reminds you like why you're doing what you're doing?
Yeah. What I love is, so I've just started door knocking. And especially, doing all these tours out in rural Nevada. There's a large part of the district that's rural areas. And what I like about it is that I get a chance to get out there and meet people and talk to people. And it's so funny because my team was like, all right, you got to get ready for door knocking. You're going to hate it. It's grueling. It's blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, you guys, this is what I do. This is like my bread and butter. This is this exact same thing I was doing as Miss Nevada, right? I was out talking to people, one-on-one, talking to them. And that's exactly what I'm doing with this campaign. Like, so the first quarter and all these past months have just been on the phone, setting up meetings with donors and meeting them and trying to raise money and build the war chest. And so that's all part of it, right? And that's been an incredible learning experience. And I've got a chance to meet some great people through it. I am loving getting into this part, right? This next chapter of the campaign, which is literally going out and earning every vote. How do you do that? You go meet people, right? I'm meeting voters at their door. And so it's been so fun. I mean, we've averaged about 2,000 miles a month just driving around the district, myself and my campaign manager, Greg Baylor. Yeah, it's intense. And so you're going up to, Tonopah, to Ely, Nevada, and Wellington, Nevada, right? Or Mina, Nevada. I'm going through all these like small towns too. And it's just awesome. Like I get a chance to meet people at their door. And, we've gone out and obviously we've done meet and greets, and I'm leaving rat cards around and stuff. And I actually got a phone call a couple weeks ago. This man, Mr. Bob, he lives in Mina, Nevada, an older gentleman. And he was like, I found your rat card at the post office. And he was like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, talk to me. Like, what's up? And it was just so interesting because every person has a story, right? Every person has a story. And what I love, especially in these smaller towns, because we don't get that same feel here in Clark County and Las Vegas, right? We're this large metropolitan area. Out in these smaller towns, it reminds me of where I grew up. I grew up in a small rural town in southeastern Arizona. So getting out there and meeting these folks, some of them are born and raised in Nevada. I've never left Nevada. Nevada's home. Like they've never left here. They've never reason to leave here, right? Like they're farmers or they come from mining families and this is their life and they love it. And it's just so awesome and refreshing to chat with them and, just hear about what they're experiencing in the areas that they live. So that's been my favorite part of this campaign.
I love connecting with folks and I can appreciate that approach as well. That's why I love what we do, right? In mortgages and in real estate, like that's what we're up to. We connect with folks. We meet them where they're at. We get to see so many variations of situations from folks. We just don't see, cookie cutter situations in this industry. Mm-hmm. Everyone is different. You really start to appreciate, people's backgrounds, where they're from, how they, we get to obviously deal with the financial side and how they approach it from what they've learned. And, that is just, to me, an invaluable experience is to pick up the phone or get out there in this community and meet these people face to face and really see what they're about and help them get to the next steps. Now, for us, it's getting into a home because that's what we love, to help them, of course, literally get planted in the community. Mm-hmm. But to hear your perspective on it, I'm sure that approach will gain you many of folks to support you.
Yeah. So it's funny because all those pots like Ely, Elko, and all that stuff, I lent in there for many of years. Okay. So yeah, there's definitely some rule. It must be a kind of weird driving out of Vegas and seeing nothing, and then coming up in small towns and little stuff. But that is some interesting part of the state. We're really lucky to have a lot of that out there because it's a getaway and people up out there. They're huge. Like you said, they born and raised here. I'm here now for about 20 years, and this is my home. I love this place.
I've been here for about 3 years, and I have gotten to experience a small town living. After Hurricane Katrina in 2005, I moved from New Orleans to Greenbrier, Tennessee, which is about 20 minutes north of Nashville. At the time, it had one red light, and I can honestly say that I learned so much from that community and what it means to be a community, and that's a much smaller scale than growing up in New Orleans, and a much smaller scale than Nashville, and definitely smaller than Vegas. But I can appreciate those folks, their approach and what they look for. And they are very principled people. Smaller communities, it starts with a foundation, and they will, absolutely support somebody that reaches out and supports them and what they're doing. I've never heard of some of these towns in Nevada, but I look forward to hopefully one day visiting.
Yeah.
They're up there.
Yes, do a rural tour. It's awesome. And so I did my own version of the rural tour years ago when I was Miss Nevada. I did a tour of all the Boys and Girls Clubs throughout the state, and that's where you learn about the community, right? Is getting out there and hanging out with the kids and meeting teachers and meeting community leaders. And so it's just so awesome just getting a chance. And that's what's nice too, is that it is all so close, right? So, my boyfriend and I, we like to take the dogs out, right? We usually go to like Red Rock on Sundays. As I'm learning more about the district and getting a chance to explore more of Nevada through this process. For example, Lincoln County is just 90 miles north of here, and they have 5 state parks in Lincoln County. Like, who knew, right?
I did not know.
And it's awesome. Yeah, and it's just 90 miles north. It's an easy day trip, right? We packed a picnic lunch, and we threw the dogs in the car, and we went up to the Pahranagat National Wildlife Refuge, which is literally 90 miles north of here. And we had an awesome day. Like, that's what I'm enjoying about part of this, too. It's just like getting out there, getting a chance to explore right where we are, right? And just looking at it from a different lens, like, who's out here, what's their story, how can we help them, what is it that they need, and what are we equipped with to be able to do that for them?
Well, it's just like not too far. There's Overton, Logandale, Moapa. Like driving up there, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Once you get out there, and it's same people, and there's moved different homes. It's a beautiful place. I drove up there not that long ago to meet a couple of people, and I was very surprised. And how many years I've been here and didn't really go out there much. It's beautiful out there.
Lisa, you're partnered up with a lot of folks in this community. What's it like to work with guys like us on this side?
You guys are awesome. Come on. I mean, you guys know it. Like, there's a reason why you guys have the relationships that you have, right? And it's because, number one, you guys are super consistent. Like, in this industry, right? Especially in real estate, like, there's flakiness everywhere in every industry, I'm sure. But for whatever reason, especially in real estate, I've found there's just so much flakiness and so much kind of like double speak, double talk, right? Like, oh, yeah, don't worry, it'll get done. And then there's no implementation, nothing to back it up. And what I appreciate with you guys is that you're like, all right, like, let's do it. Let's get it done. And you can be forthright and just be like, we looked at it every which way. It's not going to happen, right? Here's what we need to do to make it happen. But as is, it's not going to happen this way. And so I really appreciate that about you guys. It's number one, just the consistency that you've had with us and our team and, our agents as well as our clients. But also, I mean, you guys are good people. Like, it's such an easy barometer, right? Yeah. Of like, what's that book, right? Like, don't work with assholes or whatever. And the no asshole rule, right? Yeah. Like that's just such an easy barometer of, who you do business with, who you associate with, who do you trust your clients to go work with. And it has to be people who care, right? You guys care about your business. You care about your profession. You care about your clients. You care about the community. And that all shows through the work that you do.
I call that you do business with people that you know, like, and trust.
Yeah,
you know them, like them, trust them. And that's huge. We talked about that the other day. But, before we wrap this up, if there was one thing you would want everyone to know about you, what would it be?
Oh, gosh. Just that, I would just encourage everyone to, take my story as an example that, hard work pays off, right? That community engagement, going out there and doubling down on things you believe in, like, it works. It pays off. Like, will you have failures along the way? Will you have naysayers along the way? Of course, like we all do, but how much time and attention and bandwidth do you give to that, right? And it should be zero.
That's what I think, like, how many times have you failed at something and then you kept going, persistence, right? And you end up going past it. That's why I love that Michael Jordan quote, because it truly is the definition of what business and what life is all about.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people fail and they just go play it safe.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing wrong with having a regular 9-to-5 job, but if your dreams are to do something big and you don't achieve it the first time out, that's not a reason to quit.
Yeah, I've 4 companies that are doing well. I have other companies that we started and it didn't work. Right? Like that's the name of the game, you know, like you have to keep trying, you have to keep pushing. And if you have a 9-to-5 job and you're happy with that, you should be executing on the highest level you possibly can, right? Like everyone should be executing at the highest level they possibly can, whether it's as a W-2 employee or as the owner of a company. Like it's the same, right? You have to bring that work ethic.
Extreme ownership.
That's it. I was going to say ownership. And you got to carry ownership and just put forth. If you wake up the next day, every day, and you're just better a little bit than you were the day before, you're going to crush.
Yeah. I believe in that stuff. Like I have these guys reading a lot of going, listen to like Extreme Ownership is a book that I gave you a while ago, right? Lots of books. We have a whole library of books here, right? And I think it's important to take ownership. You're going to do something. Why half-ass it? Just give it 100%.
Yeah, it's that personal accountability, right? It's realizing that you are in total 100% control over the amount of work ethic that you put into a project, right? You have total control over it. Mm-hmm. So why not execute, right? Why not execute as best as you can?
100% responsible for what you're up to.
Yeah. Like it's not a foreign concept.
You know what's funny? I know. So what's funny is we're on this topic earlier today, and we touched a couple of topics. We talked about it's 100% responsibility for everything you do in life. You're not a type of person to ever point fingers. You're like 100% responsible for everything that you do. And when you're responsible for everything, this is what you create. Great businesses, people that love you, people that know, love, and trust you, people donating money, your campaign, where you have so many supporters in this community that want to see you win because we believe in you. I believe in you. And I'm just excited to see what happens in the next chapter because I know when you win, we're going to be a better state because of you.
Thank you so much.
We do have to wrap up, unfortunately. I will say I could probably sit here and listen to you for a long time, and I look forward to them. Hopefully many more times I get to just experience your stories. But yeah, and thank you. Thank you for joining us, but thank you for what you're up to. It's really cool, Lisa. And we look forward to hopefully battling alongside of you. Just know you got some fans out here, and we're going to support the hell out of you. But guys, if we may, I do got to wrap it up. Listeners, tune in. And matter of fact, Lisa, why don't you tell everybody watching and listening how they can contribute to your campaign if they want to contribute?
Yeah, you just head over to Lisa4Nevada.com. So Lisa4Nevada.com/donate. And you can find out what I'm up to on all social channels at Lisa Song-Sutton.
Guys, that's it. Make sure you check it out. Derek, of course, thanks again for another episode of Living Large Las Vegas. Go and see what Lisa's up to. Call me if you have to, 615-715-7245. I'll help you get acquainted with her. And Derek, where can they reach us?
702-331-8185. 702-331-8185.
Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you again here soon.